when it comes to like internal factors and counterproductive beliefs about your ability to make new friends, are those, do you think they're driven by like emotional wounds from the past, or where do those negative beliefs even come from?
Yeah, so I like to define beliefs as thoughts you've thought over and over again to the point where they come pretty solidified in your brain. And they can certainly come from the past. I think a lot of them do, or at least part of the belief comes from your past experience. And then social media, too, going back to that, it's like, is what I consume fueling a useful belief or something that I actually like don't want to be thinking, right? So
Mm,
again, these dinner parties, which again can be so beautiful to see, I see those and I'm like, oh, this is so beautiful, right?
yeah.
But others will see that and think, oh man, like I don't have that. Like I want that. So it's like the beliefs can definitely be part of your past experience, childhood, growing up, but then you have to look at like what is fueling the belief now, and am I in a place where I can kind of disentangle the belief and kind of poke holes at it and adopt new beliefs? Because I think no matter what your past experience is, you always have the capability to do that.
Yeah, so if I'm hearing you, it sounds like yes, there may be past reasons why you may have counterproductive beliefs. However, it's about being aware of those and not letting those hold you back, right? Like
Absolutely.
if for example, like if you had a if one of our listeners here, had a bad experience with a friendship in the past, doesn't mean that all future friendships are going to be bad. It's just a one experience, and it's not telling a larger story about the person's life, right?
Well said. Absolutely. I think having awareness around the belief is very central and important. And then you ask yourself, okay, but what do I want to do with this? So I'll
Hmm.
give you a really tangible example. If I have the belief that I don't connect well with people in group settings, and we might say that's because of past experiences I had in group settings, you go to a meetup event, which is a group setting, and you're trying to connect with people and you notice yourself kind of nervous. Your, you know, anxiety is going off, your heart rate is a little faster. That's when you realize, oh, wait, there's nothing inherently wrong with me. I just have some challenges in group settings, and I'm actually facing these challenges right now in real time at this meetup event. And I think, it would be a disservice of us to not mention nervous system regulation. That is such a huge component of this work, and it's what I really love to do with my people. It's like figuring out how you can calm your system and figuring out like what environments help calm your system and what environments don't.
Okay.
So I think that's really central too, because I think the beliefs and the nervous system, they're just so inextricably tied.
Yeah, so I guess if we were to put it in a little more tangible, like if we're talking about a specific individual that maybe they notice that they don't like loud environments. So instead of going to a meetup where there's a really loud environment, they go to a game night meetup where it's a little quieter or something. And game night might be a bad example, but
No,
or a language meetup at a library or something where it might be a little bit more chill and easy to hear other people. And that's part of
exactly.
learning your own sensitivity to external output, right?
Yeah, and recognizing that social anxiety or anxiety in general is going to be part of the process.
Hmm.
I still get anxiety when I go to my book club. And
Hmm.
I've been to several book clubs. I mentioned the open mic. I've performed there several times. Every single time I get anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's about making that not a problem and recognizing that, okay, anxiety is here. I have tools that I can use to process that anxiety and be with it enough where I'm still like present with the people and whatever activity is going on. And then, yeah, seeing, okay, what environments would be better for me right now? Like, if you have that anxiety and you don't want to be in a loud room, then maybe a book club, right? As
Hmm.
you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we talked about like these tactics that we can use, especially when we go out to meetups and new groups and the anxiety that might be there and how to cope with that. But what about when you're actually practicing the art of friendship with somebody already? Like, what does it mean to exercise your friendship skills in real life? Like, are there things people can do with their friends to deepen the friendship or to build the friendship?
Yeah, I think curiosity is the cornerstone of any deep, connected friendship.
Mm,
Getting curious with your friends and asking them questions that maybe aren't super deep or about, childhood or whatever at the start,
mm,
but just getting curious about them and asking them, like, hey, like, how did you feel when this happened? Or, like, the biggest thing I say is sometimes we can run up to this challenge in friendships where we become catch up friends, where it's like we're
mm.
just sharing the events of the day.
Yeah,
The magic isn't necessarily in what happened. It's like, okay, but what was the significance there? Or like, I know that sounds almost like an essay kind of question, but like, how did that make the person feel? Like, what was the impact of that, right? So, for
yeah.
example, I got into a very minor car accident the other day, and I was telling my friend, and he asked, like, hey, are you okay? Like, what was that experience like? Like, is everything good? And, like, that's an example, of course, like, kind of a one off example, but just like getting more curious in a slightly deeper way with your friends, I think is so central. And again, people sometimes confuse this with, well, do I like tell them all my trauma? It's like, no, not necessarily. You don't have to do that right away. It's like just getting curious and building the friendship and building the trust and vulnerability with your friends as you go along. And I think vulnerability is so central because it doesn't have to be sharing negative things or things that are really tender. Vulnerability can be celebrating a win that you had,
Hmm.
you know? So if you want to get deeper with a friend and you notice it's maybe hitting up against a little bit of a wall, you can say, like, hey, I just had this brilliant podcast feature and I'm really proud of how I showed up and it was really great. That is vulnerability and that is building up the friendship.
That's a good reminder. Usually, I think when we hear the word vulnerability, I think we might, and I'm just speaking for myself, and maybe not, that's not how other people think of this word, but I usually think about it as sharing something maybe a little bit negative about
Oh,
about myself. And usually actually it's very effective to connect when you open up, you're preaching to the choir over here because when I use vulnerability, it's definitely one of the most powerful tools to build a real connection with somebody pretty quickly, actually. So,
yeah,
is
absolutely.
but I never thought about vulnerability could be a celebration of something good that we did. That's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
I like to think of it as like opening your heart up to someone. And
Yeah.
that can be something that's challenging in your life, but it can be something that's just like opening and I'm trying to like think of another word for vulnerable. Um, Something that's like expressive, something where you're sharing something that's meaningful to
Mm,
you. That is
mm,
vulnerability.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
So with I know when it comes to building a new friendship, how how would somebody put in the effort without overextending themselves or slipping into people pleasing?
Oh, great question. So I think overextending happens when you maybe met someone and you haven't established enough of a connection with them to
Mhm.
have that maybe one-to-one hangout or something a little bit more yeah, like outside of that common shared experience. of wherever you met them. Again, like I knew after 6 months, like, okay, now feels like a decent amount of time. It's like I know we're so eager to maybe rush into it and have that hangout, but that I think can be overextending if you haven't formed the connection enough with the person.
Mm.
That said, I have had experiences in the past where it's been only maybe three, shared experiences. It's actually a poetry meetup where I met the person three times and then we hung out after that. So, I mean, any like rules are, take it with a grain of salt. But I think overextending can happen when you're kind of rushing it, and you'll know that because you'll feel it in your body. There might be a sense of like, oh, I really, really want to meet them, and it just won't feel as grounded for you.
Mm.
Especially as adults, like we need to take some time, right? And this is such a stark contrast for how things were in childhood because in childhood, it's like, my best friend who I've known for 21 years, we met on the playground actually 21 years ago, and it was just immediate connection. So I think that's part of overextending. And there was something else you said,
Yeah, people pleasing. Like, how do we
people
not slide
pleasing.
into
Yeah, so
people
that's
pleasing?
such a challenging one for so many of us, myself
Mhm.
included in the past. I think the biggest thing you want to watch out for is like, does the person who I'm talking to at the meetup, do they make my like, it's kind of a visual and maybe slightly spiritual way of looking at it, but my energetic field softer or harder and more sharp? Like
Mm.
I'll go to some meetup events and I don't know who I'm going to meet there. Some people I feel like I'm softening around and I'm settling around. I'm like, okay, this is a signal that my body and my brain and just my overall being feels safe with this person. And then
Mm.
there are other people that make me want to withdraw a little bit. And I'm like, oh, something about this doesn't necessarily feel right. And I think people pleasing comes in when we override that signal and we start to like say, yeah, I'll hang out with the same person who feels maybe not as safe to my nervous system and body, and just keep on doing that, right? So I think that's where people pleasing can come in. And it also comes in when you're prioritizing being nice over being honest.
Hmm.
That's a really central part of it. It's like honesty is the highest form of kindness. If you maybe are in the situation where you are at a meetup event or anywhere and someone wants to hang out with you, but something in your heart that feels genuinely aligned is like, I don't know about this, then you can say, like, hey, I'm just taking some time to get to know everyone here. Or I appreciate the invite, but I'm not looking to, take this friendship outside of, or whatever the verbiage is for you in that context, right?
Yeah,
Like I'm not wanting to hang out outside of this meetup right now.
right.
So I think it can manifest in a lot of ways, but I really think like looking at where your energetic field and your body and your nervous system softens and hardens and acting in accordance with that.
Thank you. That's a deep, deep, deep thought. People pleasing is
Yeah, it's
a
huge.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I will share that that's something I struggle with, people like but I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Yeah, honestly, like I had people who treated me terribly,
Mhm.
and there was this sense of, you know what? I'd rather be treated terribly than be alone. And that's something I really had to work through for myself. It's like,
Mm.
yeah, they're awful, but at least I'm in some kind of connection with them, even if it's not a good connection. I'd
Mm.
rather be talking to them than not talking to anyone at all. And I think this is such an important thing for everyone listening to realize. It's like, even if it doesn't feel like it, you're better off alone or with your own company than with people who make you feel terribly lonely. Like
Yeah.
that is something that I know is so challenging, but it's something that I truly, truly believe in and want every single person on this planet to understand.
And that's crazy, right? How can somebody else make you feel lonely when you're in their presence? But yeah,
Yeah,
I felt it. I felt it, and it's real. It can happen.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so let's talk a little bit about healthy adult friendships. What does that look like to you?
Yeah. First and foremost, I think it's respecting and honoring the fact that it's going to look different than it did when we were kids. There's sometimes this expectation that, once we make friends
Mm,
and start to see what the groove is, it's going to stay like that for ever, forever, long the friendship lasts. The thing about that is friendships in adulthood, they have seasons.
mm,
People are going through a lot as adults, like there are career transitions, maybe some friends are having children. There's
mm,
so many different life transitions that happen in adulthood. And I think being aware that that is a thing right off the bat is going to help you so much when it comes to not putting unfair expectations on a friend. I
mm,
think I really experienced this a lot in my adulthood where I would have friends where we would talk every single week and, we'd send memes and everything. And then, I mean, even now, same friendship, it's like once every 3 weeks. And that really stung for a long time. And it's really easy to go into this place of, oh, they don't care about me or they're not putting in effort. And that could be true, but what I've seen in my experience and all the people I've helped, it's like it's more often just a different season. And I
mm,
always say, like, you want your friends to show up for you when they have presence and capacity, not when they're forcing themselves to. So
mm,
I think nurturing friendships as an adult is a lot about managing your expectations.
mm.
And presence is huge, as I mentioned. It's like when you do spend time, try and be as present as possible, engage, like obviously, like, don't be on your phone and
Yeah.
just try and really be with them and notice that different friends might have different roles.
Mm,
One challenge a lot of people face is they feel like they're the only ones to reach out, like they're the ones to initiate the plans. And I say that might just be the role that has been established for you in the friendship. It's very possible and often is that your friend isn't thinking like, oh yeah, well whatever, like he'll just initiate the plans. It's
yeah.
like they might have a different role in the friendship. So, for example, in one of my friendships, I always initiate the plans, but they always host and cook. So there's a balance there, right?
Yeah.
So being able to recognize that balance, I think, is really important in adulthood. And then above all else, it's just open communication. If you are feeling like something is stinging a little bit, try your best to express it in a loving and kind way and focus on your experience and not like blaming the other person for their behavior, but just share how something affected you and be open and curious and honest in that conversation.
That was really, really, really good stuff, Zane. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. So we're getting towards the end of the episode. I just had one last question, like more of a closing thought from you. And then I was gonna ask you after that to talk about where people can find you and things like that. But with your closing thought, what do you hope someone who feels lonely takes away from this conversation?
Yeah. I really hope anyone who feels lonely out there, first of all, understands that you're not alone in that experience. I
Mm,
know it sounds kind of ironic, but that loneliness, it's unfortunately becoming more and more common with adults, especially. And that experience isn't to be minimized, invalidated, or reduced to anything other than the extremely painful experience that it is. And please know that you have so much to offer friends and the people who you meet at meetup events and the cashier you see at the grocery store. You're not alone, and if you feel like you want to make new friends, you have every capability inside of you to do that. And even just you listening to this episode is testament to that.
yes.
So know that you're not alone and that you can make the friends you want. And I always say it might not be easy, but it can be done. It absolutely can be done. And I believe in all of your capability to do that.
That's right. Thank you. This is amazing. So Zane, tell our listeners where they can find you and whatever you want to share with them about your presence.
Yeah, so I'm friendship coach Zayne on Instagram. That's Zayne. And I do help people make new friends, up-level their current friendships, and move through friendship challenges and breakups. So if you're interested in that, do reach out to me on Instagram and we can definitely talk. I have a booking link there where you can have your friendship roadmap call where we talk all about where you are currently in your friendships and where you want to be, and then we bridge that gap a little bit and also talk a little bit about working together. And I'd love to see you on that Instagram and we can talk more over there.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. I've watched some of your videos and I really enjoy them. Gained a lot, like very quick insights from them. And so I really appreciate everything you're doing in this friendship space. And that sounds like fun. Those meetups you go to with the poetry and the singing. That
Yes,
sounds like
there's
a
so
lot of
many out there. There's so many like niche meetups, and it's about finding them. Like, I'll just quickly say here, like, I'm so passionate and committed to making new friends that I'm like, I'll start a TikTok where I'm like, hey, I'm trying to make new friends about this specific, like for me, it's a card game right now. Who wants to be friends? And I know again, like that's vulnerable and that's putting yourself out there, and people might say that's cringe. And I
Yeah,
would have never done that 5 years ago. So again, for anyone listening, you can change how you view friendships, you can change the friends you have, and you can have every single aspect that of friendships that you're looking for.
wonderful. So, are you on TikTok also or no?
Yes, also friendship coach saying, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to follow you there because I don't think I follow you there yet. And I also have fun on TikTok. So this conversation really highlights something that we don't talk about enough, which is the struggle that struggling with friendships doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. And a lot of us are navigating connections without a map. And today's episode, if it resonated with you, I hope it reminded you that friendship isn't about perfection or having everything figured out. It's about showing up, learning, being willing to stay open, even when it feels uncomfortable. And thank you so much, Zane, for sharing your perspective and your honesty. And to everyone listening, if you're feeling disconnected right now, you're not alone. It doesn't have to stay that way. And I'll see you on the next episode of Connectedness.